friends, welcome back to my channel. Perhaps you recall, over the course of 2019, I pulled back the curtain and I showed you guys my entire eyeshadow palette collection, and then I spent the entirety of the year finishing up my Lorac Mega Pro 1 palette and also really heavily scrutinizing my eyeshadow palette collection. So I thought it would be fun for us to sit down and now in the year of 2020 go back through all of the eyeshadows that I have. My mission for 2020 is not only to pan the two palettes that I had selected for the year to pan entirely, but also to switch gears and heavily scrutinize the drugstore eyeshadows that I have. I've already started the year by doing a major declutter because in December I had a real desire to want to test out and scrutinize my makeup, and a lot of the stuff that was in that declutter just didn't make the cut or it was just too old. So now I thought in this video I would show you every single eyeshadow palette, whether it's drugstore or high-end, whether it's 3 pans or a whole lot more. So I'm just gonna go ahead and pull the different buckets that I keep my palettes in and share them with you. So the first thing that I have in here is this one-off palette. It's the Studio Makeup On The Go eyeshadow palette. This was a palette that I remember bringing with me during February break last year, and it was fine. I would be curious now that I see what I have in my palette collection if I would still be willing to keep this. I don't know. I definitely think maybe on a weekend trip I might take this with me and see if I like it. The colors in here it's called Cool Down, I think, if I'm reading the SKU on the back correctly, but I've had another one of these and I panned a couple of shades in it and then got rid of it because I had a bunch of the same ones. I also have this Lorac palette. This is the Afterglow eyeshadow palette. Ooh, I think that's a really pretty palette, and I love Lorac. You're gonna see a number of Lorac palettes, I do believe. Next up, I have the one palette that survived the Vault collection from the Morphe Jaclyn Hill collaboration, and that is in Bling Boss. I think the colors in here are super pretty, and I'm very, very pleased to keep playing with this guy. And there's this one from ColourPop. It is the Disney Designer Collection palette. Looks like this. It's a little bit tough with the gold. I have this one from Too Faced. It's the Sweet Peach palette, which for about 45 seconds I contemplated panning, and then all of you were like, no, don't do it. It's not an easy palette to pan. So I quickly put it aside, but I do love the shades in here. It was kind of the first warm palette I ever purchased. And then I also have their Chocolate Bar palette. Until I discovered Lorac, I was really a Too Faced girl, but I have to say, over the course of 2019, pretty much every single one of their releases that I saw, I was just like, nah, I'm all set with that. It's not really what I'm looking for. And I still kind of feel that way about them. I'll be curious to know if you feel the same way too. Then I have a collaboration. This is the Ulta and Jenny Fox Miss Fabulous palette. I think a lot of shades in here are really, really pretty. Yes, it's warm tone, but I feel like it's a different kind of warm tone, so really happy that that survived the cut. The other cargo palette that I had purchased, which is the Emerald City eyeshadow palette, and it looks like this. I don't know what's with cargo and the need to do everything in gold packaging. It makes it really hard to show off at YouTube world. We've got the BH Cosmetics Galaxy Chic palette. This one's a little bit harder for me to hold up because I have had 3 pans shatter, but oh, I think this one is so pretty. And I've really skimmed off the round parts of the shadows in here. I was really into this when I first got it. It's the only BH Cosmetics palette I've ever been drawn to. And the last one I have in that little sort of tray is the In the Palm of Your Hand Volume 1 Greatest Hits palette, which looks like this. All right, now we move into the stack of palettes that don't fit inside any of my trays. So they just sort of sit in the back of my drawer. I have the Shane Dawson Jeffree Star Conspiracy palette. This thing is huge, so it's definitely difficult for me to store. Then I have the Tati Beauty Textured Neutrals Volume 1. I actually finally tried out the glitter for a weekend look. I went to a sorority recruitment event and I loved the look of it. It was kind of a pain to apply because I had a little bit of fallout that I had to wipe away. But once I got past that point, the stuff stuck to my eyes so well. I am very in love with this palette. I really have been drawn a lot more in 2019. I got very drawn to wanting to use more like textures and different types of eyeshadows, and I definitely think this has a lot of draw to it. It was very well thought out, and I really, really like it. Then I have another one of the contenders for the 2020 Pan That Palette Challenge, and that is the Dead Man Tell No Tales Pirates of the Caribbean Lorac collaboration palette, which looks like this. Oh, it's definitely a beautiful palette. I still am very much drawn to it. Very happy to have it. And again, it was given to me. I would have never purchased it otherwise, so what a really fun find to have. Next up is the Makeup Revolution Emily the Wants palette. Again, another one that I considered doing for the 2020 year. A lot of gorgeous shades in here. Then we come to another one of the Morphe palettes that I own, which was in collaboration with Jaclyn Hill. These were her favorite single shadows that she put into a palette. Not all of these are amazing. I definitely should have gone through and like popped out the ones that I don't like. I really love the metallic ones. It's more of like the matte ones in here that just aren't worth the fuss, or they're basically all the same color and I don't need to have 8 of the same shade. I have the Lorac Mega Pro 2. I brought this to Italy with me on my honeymoon and I freaking loved it. This palette has so many lid shades, and that for me is, I think, the most important, because I can really get quick use out of lid shades. I love to like pack shimmer on my lids, and I feel like it doesn't matter how pale I am, I can still like dig in and put a lot on my lid, versus like with darker colors or darker matte colors, I don't need very much, so they take me a lot longer to use up. This is definitely a fabulous palette, and I do know it's a 2-year project, but it has tempted me. I have been tempted to sign up for it because I just loved the first one so much. All right, part 3 is the like drawer above my palettes drawer that I keep some of like the makeup I'm testing or my Pan That Palette palettes. So I have the Lorac Pro 1 and I have the Cargo Somewhere in the City. I will not open these up. If you want to see the insides of these or see how I'm doing with my progress, I'll go ahead and link up here the playlist that I'm doing for this year, but so far I'm pleased with the challenge. I also have the Jaclyn Hill palette that she did in collaboration with Morphe. This is outstanding. I love this palette. I didn't finish scrutinizing it, which is why it hasn't gone back down, because with the other Morphe palette that I was working with, and I told you like I didn't knock out all the shades I wanted to, I have been trying to figure that out with this one. And I gotta say, the bottom row, it's not looking good for me. I just find that they're way too dark or like muddy, versus a lot of the other palette is, again, a lot of really, really pretty lid looks. When I was working at the tail end of the project in 2019 with my Lorac Mega Pro palette, I was bringing this in all the time, and I definitely think that it's a palette I will continue to get great use out of. Again, because of my distraction, I was also supposed to test out the Urban Decay Naked palette, and I still haven't. It is still sitting here. It is still beautiful. I open it all the time and I'm like, oh, you're pretty, but I don't pull it out and try it and use it. I don't know, maybe it's because of the box. The box is giving me commitment issues, but that is still, again, on the dock to be trialed with before I decide whether it can stay or go. And then I made a purchase, I don't know, at some point last year that I didn't tell you guys about, like, not trying to keep secrets, but I just didn't think it was worth doing a full video on at the time that I got it. But basically, I bought a big magnetic palette, and my thought to do a big magnetic palette was to basically put all of the shadows that I have been popping out of palettes, I wanted to just be able to house in one really big area. So I saw this being talked about on Hannah Louise Poston's channel, which, if you're not subscribed to her, I think she is amazing. She is so articulate, and the way she thinks about things is so interesting. She's definitely a long-winded video kind of gal, so buckle up for that. If that's not your thing, I don't think you'll like her. But I saw her talk about this palette, so I went out and purchased it. Like I said, it's huge. It is a huge palette. It takes up like almost the entire bottom of one of the makeup drawers that I have with my IKEA drawers. But basically what I've been doing is I have been pulling apart face palettes and eyeshadow palettes and single shadows that I purchased, and I have shoved them in here. And this is truthfully very impractical. I am not going to pull this out every day and pull shades out of it, but I do have other smaller magnetic palettes, and I can see myself getting to a place where once I'm done scrutinizing all the rest of my eyeshadow and sort of cleaning it out and doing that purge, I could see myself building a smaller palette out of some of these shades to travel with, or to be able to like go home to Maine with, or even to be able to pan, like focusing on bringing those in conjunction with other palettes. But I'm really happy with this, and if you guys want me to do a more in-depth video of like what is actually in here, just let me know in the comments and I will be happy to do that. The final facet of my eyeshadow is housed in this container, and this is mostly drugstore barring a few examples. So the first one I have, it's not drugstore, is my beloved ColourPop Fame palette. This, next to the Tati Beauty, these two were probably my absolute hands down have to have best purchases of 2019. I think this palette is gorgeous. I'm flying to Texas for a sorority event this weekend, and I like am so pumped to bring this palette. Like, this palette gives me joy, and I really feel like, unlike last year when I was doing my collection video, that I am so jazzed about all of these palettes, and like I get so excited to play with all of them that I just really feel like I have pared my collection down to a really awesome place. I also have the Mini Controversy Shane Dawson and Jeffree Star collaboration. Looks like this. I've gotten most use out of the top row. And then the final not drugstore is this Buxom. This is just 3 random shades. I don't even know if I really like these that much, so I need to go ahead and test them out, which is why they're being housed in the rest bucket with the rest of my drugstore. I'm gonna now pull out what I have. So I have this IBY Beauty. This is a trio. It's called Three's Company. This came in an Ipsy bag, and I really like the shades in here. This is a really like easy look that you could do. I ended up using these two recently one weekend, and I really like the quality of these. So this made the cut. I was very happy to see that. And if you watch my declutter, not a lot of drugstore shadows that I tested or in like this format survived. Oh, then we have this one. This is the Florida Force Quad eyeshadow in Lunar Rose that she came out with, I don't know, a while ago. I love this. You can see that I've got pan showing on this shade. I don't really love this one because it's got like a glitter mixed into it, but the other 3 shades I could definitely see myself using up entirely. I have this one from NYX called Love in Paris. It's the Je ne sais quoi. I already got rid of one of these, but this one, I feel like it has maybe a bit more potential. Not sure. We'll see how it actually plays out. Which, like, P.S. I feel like NYX used to be all over YouTube, and now they just have like fallen off the face of the earth. I never hear anyone talking about NYX. Unless it's an anti-haul, like I never hear anyone talking about NYX these days. Oh, I have a couple from CoverGirl. I have this CoverGirl quad in Blooming Blushes. I guess that's what it's called. Looks like this. I like the idea of this, but I feel like the shapes of these pans are kind of a pain. So I'm not sure if this will make the cut when I scrutinize it. I do have the CoverGirl Nudes True Naked. This one I did already test out when I was doing my eyeshadow palettes in 2019 because I keep it down in my regular shadow collection. I have one from Revlon. This is the Revlon Custom Eyes in Naturally Glamorous. I really could see myself liking probably the center shade the most, but I'm pretty sure this is just one big brick of eyeshadow. And I don't typically love that because they start to blend together when you're just like naturally picking it up on your brush. And like these shades aren't that unique in my overall collection, so I'll be curious to see how this does. I feel similarly to this one. This is the Kardashian Beauty Touchstones Gradient Eye Color. I loved this. I have panned 2 of the shadows that are in here. I really like went through a very heavy like pinky lid kind of phase, and I'm happy to bring that phase back into my life. So I could see myself maybe like using up this shade, but the rest of it is sort of on the drier side. So I don't know how in love with this I am or how much I need to keep this just for the one like lighter pink shade. I have one from NYC. I had another one in this format. This is the Individual Eyes Best of Broadway. It's got a highlighter, it's got a base, and then it has the shadows. These are cream products over here. I definitely will not keep the cream products, but I'll need to see if I like any of these shades. I do have a couple of these from a different Individual Eyes palette in my big black palette because I love some of the shades in there, but NYC, I'm pretty sure, just got up and walked away as a makeup company. I was seeing them in CVS, I don't know, like it's 6 years ago at this point, and then they all of a sudden were just gone and they weren't there anymore. I have another one from Maybelline. This has been like a classic love of mine that I used to always and only pull out in the fall months. This is the Expert Wear Emerald Smokes. Looks like this. Ooh, I love the shades in here. It would go great like with this sweater. Yeah, this one will probably survive. I have a 2 from Avon. This is the True Color Eyeshadow Quad in Romantic Mauves. Looks like this. And then I have this one in Warm Sunrise. I swear there is a Milani one that looks like this. I just think these colors are so pretty. I've never used this, so I have no idea how it's gonna work. And then the last 3 that I have are from Wet n Wild. I have the Wet n Wild Cool as a Cucumber. I'm not sure I see myself wearing this. I have the On Cloud 9, which looks like this. And then I have a repurchase, which how often do you get to say that about eyeshadow? This is the Walking on Eggshells rebranding that they did. I had it when it was a trio and I panned it and loved it. All right, so there it is. Those are all the eyeshadows, top to bottom, that I am currently the owner of. I really parsed down in 2019 my collection, and now I'm ready to parse down my drugstore collection. I really think I can keep it down to probably no more than 4 or 5 of them, and the rest probably can go. I really am happy with where my current eyeshadow collection is at, and I think it's going to take something really phenomenal or really unique to come out into the market in 2020 to even tempt me, because I just really feel like I have a complete and total and well diverse type of eyeshadow collection that suits my preferences. So I'm really jazzed about it. I hope that you enjoyed seeing all of the eyeshadow that I currently have in my possession, and I will talk to you in my next video really soon. Bye.